Now those same folks that saying Facebook is the devil, welcome to Facebook Live. Same folks, right?
Go ahead. I'm gonna tell you in a minute. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah,
Keep going.
And so that's a reallocation of things in terms of you cannot have a 21st century post-pandemic ministry now without having budget items for media.
Yeah.
It's before we have, Christian education or youth pastor or men's different things.
What's up, everybody? This is Pastor Maxwell from New Beach Grove, and we're here for another edition of Bring the Smoke. And I have the one, the only Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., baby. He's up here to preach for our March Gospel Madness. He come every year. I'm going to put the plug in, man. He come back next year too, right?
The Lord say the same.
The Lord say the same. Well, we know what the Lord going to say. Thank you, Lord. I appreciate you for getting my brother back up here. Hey, man, but seriously, though, man, in the pandemic, man, you have been thriving, man. What's the secret, man? I know a lot of people say you're supposed to tithe, but I know people are tithing, but do you have other streams of income to help with the church?
Well, I think it's important to, first of all, I think the pandemic was about rediscovery. I think for everybody, a time to reimagine, rediscover, and really take a look at what you're doing. And one of the things I noticed is the way we did church pre-pandemic, the way we budgeted pre-pandemic, everything shifted. The pandemic made me reallocate resources and look at, okay, what were we really doing? Because I think a lot of things that we did pre-pandemic, it won't be necessary for the next chapter. So the first step is to evaluate what you have. It's almost like the prophet said to the woman, what you got in your house already? So sometimes you're spending money on things that don't add to the bottom line. A lot of programs we have in summer, winter, spring, fall, and summer revival. So it really makes you look at, makes you look at the people you have.
Right.
So some people that you have with you have to ask yourself the question, okay, if we're not coming to the building, what does this position do to really affect the bottom line of the church?
Wow.
And I discovered that I was carrying a lot of things, a lot of people who really weren't helping me and helping push the vision forward.
Wow.
So they were really taking versus supporting. And you'd be surprised how much room and margin and capital you'll free up.
Come on, doctor.
Just by reassessing what you have.
Man, it's this one old school preacher, man. He say he made them write out how much money they bring in for the church. Like, what are you worth? Like, he made them do that themselves, man. I was like, that's ingenious. Why are you paying for yourself?
Yeah. It's like a lot of times people have gotten so comfortable being on a ride, and they with you, and they on your dime. So it's like I just had to realize, and I think a pastor's heart. I have a pastor's heart. You care for people, right? But just because, but that's the pastor's heart. But I'm still a CEO.
Yes.
And what I had to realize is, I'm not people's source.
Yeah.
God is.
Yeah, amen.
God took care of them before they came to the ministry. You know what I'm saying? So we don't. Yes. Yeah, he's Jehovah Jireh. I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. You know what I mean? So the business component, we don't want to talk about.
Yes.
It takes a business acumen. What you're doing at New Beach Grove, all the buildings, the cost, insurance, mortgage, that money doesn't grow on trees.
It doesn't.
And sometimes we bring people aboard and they've been with us in one season, and so the things that we did, the monies we were able to save.
Yes.
By not doing certain things in the pandemic, it opened up doors for us. So that's the first thing I think that you have to do.
Man, you know what I realized one of our biggest expenses was for ministry? Food.
Absolutely.
Joker want to eat every time.
Are you kidding? And that expense is on the church.
Man, it's on the church. Like, you ain't got to eat every time. Go home and eat.
Man, let me tell you something. Funerals, because I pastor in an older church.
Yeah.
So that means programs, repass. Then our cathedral, over 7,000 seats. So every time we turn those lights on, that's like the equivalent of $5,000.
Wow.
So if we do 100 funerals a year, and people I want to have my funeral in the church, Well, first of all, your uncle didn't come to church when he was alive.
We bringing the smoke for real today, dude.
I'm just saying. So now you want to have a funeral.
Yeah.
Us do the program.
Right.
And feed 100 people. Mm-hmm. So he can go out of the world in style. But he didn't contribute to the church in the course of his lifetime.
Wow.
So we have another building that seats about 400 people. Multi-purpose building. We said we're going to use that space. Utilities are less. And you'd be surprised how many people angry.
Yeah.
Why we put 30 people in a room that seats 7,000 people?
Right.
This is my church. Well, this is also business.
Yes.
And if we do 4 funerals a month at $5,000 each, that's $20,000 added to the budget, not talking about the programs or the food.
Man, they got to be like Jesus. Jesus said, I'm going to borrow this tomb.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus said, hey, I don't need it but for 3 days. They ain't going to buy it. Hey, let me borrow this tomb. Jesus was a businessman, right? hey, look. He feel like he the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. He done told him to go get money out of fish when he wanted to. And he said, you know what? I ain't wasting no money. Hey, man, let me borrow your tomb. I don't need it but for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? But if Jesus can live out of borrowed tomb, you can go have a funeral at a smaller building, man. You understand? Like you said, they don't come to church no way.
And then you think about it, you have chapels. Every funeral home almost has a chapel. Mm-hmm. But people see the church, and don't get me wrong, the church should be there for its members. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about there is a business component.
Yes.
To all this and economics. And it's always sometimes the $1 million, the $1 givers who want $1 million worth of benefits.
Reverend.
And so the pandemic, nobody was coming to funerals. We were doing funerals by Zoom, funerals at the gravesite, and we had limitations of, well, if you got 50 people only 50 people that can come, well, you just smaller venue. Yeah. And so when I looked at the monies we saved just by reallocating and reimagining, it's like it doesn't make any sense.
Man, the pandemic, like a business, people would say, don't ever waste a good crisis.
Lord have mercy.
Come on.
The pandemic was a good crisis because you could change so much stuff. They don't even remember what they were having. You know what I'm saying? Because you can change so much stuff behind the scenes because they don't even remember what they were doing. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you open enough to be able to change and pay attention and reassess, that should have been an easy time for you to change anything.
When you think about, okay, you've been doing media for a while. I've been doing media for a while. Very few churches had podcasts. Some churches I knew 15 years ago when Facebook first started, they said Facebook is the devil. Mm-hmm. Now those same folks that saying Facebook is the devil, welcome to Facebook Live. Same folks, right?
Go ahead. I'm gonna tell you in a minute. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
And so there's a reallocation of things in terms of you cannot have a 21st century post-pandemic ministry now without having budget items for media.
Yeah.
It's before we have, Christian education or youth pastor or men's different things people sit in the office, but it's a new day and new time.
Yeah, that's the new evangelism.
And you got to have those things in place. And so you'd be surprised what we can do virtually, and what you can create virtually versus coming to the place in person. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we did that was very, very helpful. And then another good thing is my director of community affairs and outreach, Pastor Reese Cross. She also works with our counseling center. She began to leverage partnerships with and grants with other community agencies, from Emory University, for health summits, for counseling, for youth. If you have a nonprofit within the church, there are all types of monies available for you to partner and do things that affect the community. But a lot of times we depend everything on tithes and offerings. Yeah. So having the right people around you, right now I'm working on a whole piece for violence through the arts, where Atlanta is just, the violence is going through the roof. Well, how now we have a program with cameras set up like you do. We now co-own a TV station with the only minority FCC licensed TV station in the city of Atlanta. We're now co-owners of that.
Wow.
Well, now we can bring in people to teach them how to do cameras.
Do you know how big that is? The only black one in Atlanta. You know how black Atlanta is?
FCC certified.
FCC licensed.
So how many black ones there, period?
Very, very.
Because if you in Atlanta, you the only one.
Less than 2% of TV stations are owned by blacks.
And this kingdom ministry. And I'm sure somebody called you devil because look, I'm going to come back. You know what he said? Remember that dude came and called me the devil? Dude called me the devil at my own church because I was doing Facebook.
Are you serious?
And then we set his Facebook up. My dude Dangle didn't even want to go set it up for him.
Same dude.
Because he was so mad. And I was like, man, it's cool, man. Make your money. Whatever, real. I said, man, we good. The funny thing about it, Jamal, he told me to call dude name out, but I ain't gonna do that. Jamal said, forget that. He's like, I ain't that humble yet. Jamal said, Negro, call his name. We was on the podcast. He said, call his name. He said, don't let it get away with that one. He was like, Reverend, I can't let it. He said, you a little more humble than me. He was like, call his name. He was on the podcast trying to make me call dude's name. I was like, I ain't gonna do dude like that. He know who he is.
Yeah. Just and so just so small-minded, man.
Yeah.
Just so small-minded. And unfortunately, these things been out for years. And, it says in sociology, society changes every 4 or 5 years. The black church changes every 20.
Every 20.
And so I think the pandemic forced us
To
change. And so my prayer is that, and that's budget-wise. So that's some things we were doing financially I'm not going back to. I'm just not going to do it because I learned what we can do. Sometimes less is more.
Ooh.
And so, I'm not, right. So right now, there's some people who in my church don't like me because I'm going through it. What is the bottom line? Everybody wants to be paid.
Yeah.
Every person's no. What are you doing for this? Some of these things you can do with volunteers.
Yeah.
And I would rather have 5 effective ministries that are purposeful, that are passionate, that affect the bottom line, than have 25 on the website. Just say we got stuff that's not doing that.
Exactly, man. What Solomon said in Ephesians, he said money answers all things. People think you don't need money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God gave you salvation, but it still costs. It cost him his whole life. It costs money to do ministry.
Absolutely.
That's why we do like when we did the PPP loans, a lot of churches, because they weren't set up as, a lot of churches didn't go and set up themselves as, they didn't become incorporated, so they couldn't get it.
Absolutely.
Because if you were not incorporated, you just a mom and pop shop.
Absolutely.
You couldn't get it.
Absolutely.
The funny thing about it, me here in Virginia, it was illegal. See, that's why a lot of people don't know in Virginia. It was illegal to incorporate a church here until 20 years ago.
Wow.
When, what's the guy that started
Falwell,
at Liberty University, he sued the state of Virginia to get church to be able to be incorporated.
Wow.
Because if you're not incorporated, you have to go before the judge for them to allow you to buy buildings.
Wow.
So how can I own a cat on 1,000 hills? How can I own land? How can I say I'm the lender, not the borrower, and I got to go to you for permission?
Wow.
They don't understand. Sometimes we might not even look like we qualify to get certain things, but because of faith, we go out and get certain buildings. Like a judge probably never would have let us get that building.
No doubt about it.
I had 20 of my top tithers leave
20
when we became incorporated.
20.
They said it was a devil. But you know what? They sent their last tithe check. Thank you. They sent their last tithe check as a way of kind of manipulating like we gone.
Yeah.
Man, God replaced it when they left. When those 20 members left, our giving went up 25%. So God, they left, but God brought other people in. Because God will make a way out of no way. Like you always say, if it's God's vision, then he gonna give you the provision. Absolutely. If it's his will, it's his bill, you know? And so I can't say it like you said, you go.
No,
I can't do like he do.
There you go.
I can't do like he do, but listen, 21st century church, man, you have to be creative. Yes, tithe and offerings probably would be some of our main income, but you have to be able to do different things. If you're not incorporated, you need to look at being incorporated, because when you become incorporated, if I do something wrong and Brother Dewey didn't do nothing wrong, he going to jail with me if it's not incorporated, because we all connected.
Right.
Now, it's not to this whole, it still holds you accountable.
Absolutely.
Now, if I do something wrong and we incorporate it, I get in trouble by myself.
Right.
And he don't get in trouble unless he knew something about it and he helped me do it.
Right.
So you got to understand, you got to protect your people. And so instead of having a loan on your name, you understand? Having a loan on your name and your people's name, you want that loan on the entity. And that also why some people act like they own the church, because literally some people do own the church because it's not incorporated and it's in their name. And then they have a big head because they know their name is on the loan and they feel like they're supposed to have some control. That's why you create. Sometimes when you don't do business, you create Absalom spirits and Jezebel spirits when you don't handle your business right. Yep. So look, I'm telling you, he showed me how to get the PPP loan. He showed me also how to get the
ERC credit.
ERC credit. Explain that to
the
churches.
ERC credit, what happened when the pandemic hit, the the government allow agencies who had employees and who kept their employees during the pandemic to receive benefits from it. A lot of folks are afraid of the government. With the government trying to take it, government can't tell you what to preach. You know what I'm saying? Now when it comes to, they can't control what you preach. So what happens is, they would give you $26,000 per employee over a 2-year period if they were W-2 employees.
Yeah.
So if you got 5 employees on your staff who are W-2, that means you can get $52,000 for the year 2020 and 2021 for one employee. So if you got 5 of them over that time period, that's $250,000 that goes back into the church because you kept the people on payroll.
Because you kept them. And we kept ours on payroll. Some people didn't agree. But the funny thing about it is, because we own, we do the Givelify, we do the Text to Give, we do the Cash App, we do the PayPal, we do the Easy, we do all those different electronic platforms. I remember they came at me kicking and screaming.
Absolutely.
They didn't want to do it. I'm like, we're not leaving money on the table. They were calling me crazy. Oh, it's 1% being taken out. They stealing money. But then when the pandemic hit, you would have thought everybody was in agreement with it. Man, I'm so glad we did electronic giving because they ain't coming to church, but they still tithing. Because it's on automatic. Pastor, ain't you glad we did that? I'm just like, yeah, sir, I'm glad. But in my mind, like, well, you the main person trying to crucify me for doing this? Churches, how can you be the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, the lender and not the bar, if you always behind the curve, if you never are the pioneers, if you never really walk into the apostolic, if you never really the trailblazers of doing it, how in the world can you say you the head and not the tail? You can't say it. So a lot of times churches be walking in fear. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. And then you can't be scared to pay people. Like my people, they say they want to do the ERC, they want to what is it?
ERC credit.
They want to do with the ERC credit. They want to go ahead and put it together. But I still want them to make sure they keep up with their other work. But I told them, go ahead and let the third party do it.
Absolutely.
They said, well, the government said that you shouldn't use these third party people because some of them crooked. Some pastors crooked.
Is that right?
Some bookkeepers crooked.
Right.
Some police officers crooked. Some judges crooked.
Right.
But it's been vetted by my big brother. He done told me exactly what I need to do. They getting blessed by it. Other churches getting blessed by it. And the thing about it, sometimes you got to learn how to just pay people to do certain things to free yourself up. See, that's how millionaires and billionaires think. We all want to get ourselves all in the minutia because we never want to help nobody get paid.
Right.
But my thing is, how can you do all these? If you be faithful over a few things, I'll make you rule over many things. But if I'm rule over many things, I can't do all them things on my own.
Lord have mercy.
You know what I'm saying? I can't preach, play the saxophone, do the sound, do the ERT, do the PPP.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Put the lesson plans together, make sure the light's straight, make sure the AC fixed. You can't do all that. You got to learn how to free yourself up and think like billionaires. Billionaires don't do. I used to fix my own car because I ain't had no money. But now I got money, I send it to the dealer.
Right.
I just clean my own house all the time, but now I got to free myself up to do my real estate and everything else. So you have to learn how to go ahead and give away some money so you can have the time freed up to make money.
And then with ERC too, you can find a company where we pay them, they take the liability, which means if something goes wrong with it, then the liability is not on the church, it's on them. So why?
Yeah, because they the third party.
So why wouldn't you? You don't have the liability, so they're gonna be responsible if anything goes wrong. IRS coming after them, not you.
Yeah, because they the one did.
Because they the one did. So you vet all that up front. But we just so small minded. Stop counting other people's pockets.
Right. And let me say something about the government. I ain't met with you IRS because I know y'all about crazy. But let me talk to them. See, a lot of times people don't understand too. Of course, the government want to recycle all that money. They don't want to give it to you.
Absolutely.
They want to say they showed you, but they really don't want you to use it.
Right.
So of course I would say that it is in my best interest for me to tell you all the stuff that goes wrong, because if you sit up there and try to do it yourself, you're probably not gonna get it done.
Right.
But if you have somebody who has a system and they do it all the time,
Absolutely.
and they always doing it, then that's who you want to go ahead and put it together.
Absolutely.
Why? This man got way more members than I do, staff bigger than mine. So we're not gonna get as much money as him, but he didn't get his bookkeeping all them to do it, even though they had more money to pay somebody to do it. He went ahead and got a third party to do it. I think I'm ministering to myself right now. Y'all had to move out of the way. I'm sorry, Newbies Grove. Y'all got to move out the way because we need somebody that have a system together. Let me go ahead and get out of this. But let me tell y'all right now, churches, you have got to be forward thinkers. You can't sit up here and walk in fear.
So true.
God gave you a spirit of power and a sound mind, not a spirit of fear.
Yeah.
Like him, he just like, man, I'm do it. He heard somebody else do it. Boom, he sent me a text. Man, first of all, man, appreciate you, man. Because some folk don't try to tell you that.
Come on, man.
Some folks, see, the Bible says, I bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Yeah. But some folks don't never try to help nobody else get nowhere, man.
You got people just greedy, man. And unfortunately, you know, what was really funny about this, I sent it to some pastors and they were like, yeah, I heard it. We did it last month. I'm like,
and they ain't even say nothing.
So I said, no problem, but it made me just think about it. You know, why wouldn't you share it?
Right.
If you got blessed by it, I went through my phone. You the first one I'm on text.
Yeah.
I thought about who are my friends. I text everybody I went through my phone and just sent it arbitrarily. Whether people, because I felt like it's an opportunity for all of us to be. We all been struggling through this pandemic. Yeah. If you held on through this pandemic and did ministry through this pandemic, Bishop Morton said you blessed. You every pastor who kept the church together through the pandemic, God got a special blessing for you.
He does.
And so my thing was, let me send it to everybody so we all can benefit because we should share. We don't share with each other.
We know. And see, that's why I'm doing the podcast. I'm making sure I bring it up now because we're going to put it out because I want churches to see it. I want black churches, white churches, Hispanic churches, all churches to see it because the wealth of the wicked laid up for the righteous.
Absolutely.
But so many times we miss it because we don't sit up there and have a relationship with certain people and we don't sit up there and study the certain things. But how can the wealth be laid up how can the wealth of the wicked be laid up for the righteous if you don't ever be in some of the circles?
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah. You got to go get it's laid up. Don't come down. You got to go get it.
You got to go get it.
Yeah, and so that's my piece, man. So, you know, whether that's setting you up a 501c3, you want to do it. I want to do the name of the church. Do it as a separate organization. Do something that allows you to do community development, human resources, youth activities, housing, food insecurity, HIV awareness. Do your nonprofit that can also set you up. Yeah. Have a 501c3 that you can put yourself in a position to get grants. Protect the church, indemnify the church, put a separate name. People are more apt to want to give to nonprofits than they would to the church.
To a church.
So you can still do the work, but we just so small-minded and so stuck. And the words of that hymn, we don't know how to serve the present age. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important. We got to serve. That's an old hymn. Every Baptist deacon charge to keep our hand to serve the present age. And so how do we serve the present age? Not with an old mind, not with a 50-year-old mentality.
No, man. But see, this is awesome. So, man, in the pandemic, you helping pastors like me, you sending out information. And then you have your own, I would say, alliance, if you would, man. Tell them about your alliance, man, because I'm definitely going to get in. First of all, let me tell y'all something. Stop trying to walk around here and act like you can do it all by yourself. You know why the geese can fly far? Because they fly in formation. You understand? They fly in formation. And when one get tired, then the front, they go to the back. Well, us pastors, we can't go to the back. We always got to stay in the front. But we got to have our members flying in formation so we can have more energy. But every now and then, he'll send you a Jakes. He'll send you a Dr. Dewey. You understand? So you have these mentors, and I'm going to get him to tell you about his alliance and his fellowship to help us be better. Because sometimes you do want to go to the back and rest. So that I can go under him and let him be in the front. You feel me? Because he done already trailblazed. Why would I sit up there and try to reinvent the wheel when the Negro done already went through it? Why? Man, brother, hey, man, how I do this? Now I don't feel bad because I said I'm going to get in his alliance because I been getting a whole bunch of information for free because of the relationship. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, Negro, I'm going to get in your fellowship because at least I'm going to sew back into you. Now I ain't going to feel guilty. Because sometimes I sit there and be like, man, I don't know if I want to text him, man. I know he's busy, man. I don't want to bother him. I might sit there for 2 days, literally, and not even text him. Now, Negro, I'm going to text you every day. Hey, man, how you do this? Go ahead and tell us how to join, man, because I'm going to join. I'm going to join. I ain't going to care how many questions I ask you. Seriously, I'm sorry. Man, you got to get honor what honor is due. Wow. You can't just keep taking and never give back and never sow. Wow. You know what I'm saying? That's why when anniversaries come, hey, man, with your cash out, I need to remember it. But, you know, he got a secret code. Wow. He's so blessed. Me, I just do my name. I don't want you to forget. He got all these daggone letters. I'm like, Negro, you better help somebody. But, you know, I'm always bless the man of God because he always bless me. But to be able to glean from a man of God. And see, some of y'all want to go get... Ain't trying to be funny. Some of y'all want to go get folk that's 80 years old. I ain't saying it's bad because some 80-year-old people still got energy. But this dude, the amount of members he has, the impact. First of all, this dude got albums. This dude be on Grammy Awards and Dove Awards, okay? He doing it. He got the only black company in Black Atlanta, right? That's certified to do the entertainment industry. So he's doing kingdom marketplace ministry. You want to connect with this man of God to help your ministry, but some of us don't want to be humble enough to submit and learn from somebody else. But where there's much counsel, there's safety. So I'm going to let this man of God tell you about his fellowship that I'm going to get in, basically so I won't feel bad for asking him all these questions. So I've been in the fellowship before he started it. Now I'll be a member. Go ahead, man. Tell about the fellowship.
Well,
man.
Just give a brief history. In 2004, I went to where I am now, 19 years ago, House of Hope, Greater Travelers Rest. And when I went there and I had to coexist with my predecessor. He didn't leave. He was there for 47 years. So I had never seen a pastor go into a church with the previous pastor still there.
Yeah.
And what I represented was something totally different from what he represented. So it was tough. And he was different, and different doesn't mean deficient.
Yeah.
And a very, very traditional church. And about 2 years later, I discovered that a lot of my colleagues who were in traditional established churches, they were either in court or getting put out.
Dude.
And so they would call me and say, man, how you maintaining? How are you able to move the church forward with the still? You ain't lost any people. You ain't split the church. So I did my first conference in 2007 called Maximizing Your Ministry for traditional established churches to help us kind of come. As a matter of fact, when I met you, not when I met you, but right before you came to New Beach Grove,
right? You
came and you sat in on a couple of my meetings for one of the conferences I was doing.
Yep.
So I would do it annually, and it was really my wife's idea. So what happened was, from that time until now, people said, we need a fellowship, we need a network, because a lot of the conventions, a lot of the associations, and, the Baptist Congress and the convocations, it's good for history, but a lot of the stuff I need for current day ministry, I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
So, I prayed about it, and about 4 or 5 people came and said, Pastor, we got to do something. Why don't we start our own network where we have, our own bi-monthly meetings. We bring people together, have conversations. Now we can do it by Zoom. So we started something called Ambassadors Assembly. Mm-hmm. And so it's a network for pastors and leaders from across the country who want to come and get stuff, whether it be homiletics, whether it's men's ministry, whether it's building the church, whether it's the IRS, just a plethora of topics, whether it's technology, any topic you can imagine. And so we started in October, and we already got about 400 pastors and leaders who are already committed to it. And so you want to get information, you go to ambassadorsassembly.org or go to edeweysmith.org. There's a ministry assessment there. Whether you're a pastor, whether you're the men's ministry, music ministry, we have stuff for the entire church to help move churches from where they are to the next level. Whether you're traditional or whether you planted your church. I've been blessed now to plant 2 churches. So if you go into a church like the one, our main campus is 147 years old. So I've been able to go and learn how to maneuver in that kind of context. Or if you started from the ground up, we have insight for you. And pastors who are affected from all over the country, top tier pastors who are part of the Ambassadors Assembly. And so we just want to help pastors have a resource. You don't have to fight alone. There's no need of you paying a tuition for a class I already took.
Reverend.
That makes sense.
Reverend.
Yeah. A fool learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from mistakes of others. And this fool has learned a lot in 35 years. Stuff you can avoid just simply by having the conversations and being connected.
Let me tell you how powerful he is, man. They always say I'm doing a lot of stuff in Virginia. I took my resume to his church that he pastored when he just started laughing at me at the door, man.
No, I didn't.
And so,
Who, me?
Not you.
Okay.
No, not you.
Okay.
The deacon came to the door. He just started laughing. He looked at me like, he just started laughing, dude. I was like, man, whoever get in church gonna have to be strong as all the way. Cause that joke was the rudest thing I seen.
So my former church?
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Yeah, no, not your former church. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
The church you at now.
Oh, no, okay.
Right down the street.
Right, okay.
Green Forest,
Okay,
where I was.
yeah, okay.
So, I 2004?
Yeah, 2000,
I put my thing in.
Yeah.
Dude, them big old doors, man. They're just like a movie, man. Them big old doors when y'all used to be on Snapchat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude opened the door. He looked at me the other day and started laughing and took my resume. Like, he ain't say hey and nothing. He just started laughing like, Negro, you ain't getting this. I am not lying.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding, man. So I'm going to tell you something. This man is anointed. And what he does is, man, some of the ingenious things that you did, man. I mean, he the one showed me the art of giving plaques.
Wow.
The art of giving plaques, man. Tell people thank you and move them on their way.
Wow.
They know they shouldn't be there no more, but at
Wow.
least you clapping your hands while you sending them on their way.
Wow.
You understand? That is one of the most ingenious things. You go in his church. I'm giving all the secrets away. He has a whole history of the church. He made sure he honored the old pastors and the pastor that was there right before him. You can't get mad at that. And see, a lot of times people come and they fight the old memory. You don't have to fight the old memory. Embrace it. It was there. Respect it, because some of them people not going to never leave that alone. I mean, look, only people made it to the promised land was Caleb and Joshua.
Absolutely.
Right? Nobody from Moses' generation made it. Not even Moses himself.
Exactly.
None of them made it.
Right.
Because they couldn't let it go.
Right.
Man, when we had it, he held his staff up. Then, when they split the sea, then we stepped in the water. You ain't even got no staff. What you doing? They couldn't change. And sometimes them people not going to ever change.
Right.
And you don't have to change them.
Right.
Keep on being nice to them. Let them keep paying their tithes and offerings.
Yes.
Respect them and stop fighting the memory. The thing about it is, if you lift up Jesus Christ and not worry about lifting up your name,
yes,
you won't be fighting a memory.
It's so true.
You know what I'm saying? A pastor ain't gonna say who his name is. He probably gonna get it. A pastor told me that their gift was not humility, and they were talking to me about how do you fight the memory of an old pastor. Like, you can't fight the memory.
Yeah.
You just gotta embrace that memory, respect that memory, and then make your own memories.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, hey man, you need to go down over to Dr. Dewey Smith's church and just look at the wall. He visually respected all the history of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible do that. The Bible say that we got the old covenant and new covenant, but they still give us all the memories of the stuff that we don't even do no more. You ain't got to do a turtle dove. You don't have to go get a partridge anymore. You don't have to go get any hens. You don't have to go get, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to go get all these different bullocks and rams anymore. Right. But they still put all those traditions there because it began to show us where we are now.
Absolutely.
Now, after we had to do all that, we saw God said, you know what? You can't even keep the law. So let me give you Jesus. But he didn't write the new to just say we ain't gonna keep the law. He just said, I'm gonna usher in grace. What I'm saying is this. What I'm really trying to tell you is this. Even the Old Testament and the New Testament, we don't live in the Old Testament anymore, but the memory's still there. Let those people embrace that memory. Let them have those precious memories and remember when they did stuff a certain way. Yeah, keep moving them along, but if you stop having the pride and understanding it's Jesus' church and not your church, you'll be able to deal with that a little better.
That's so well said. You know, some stuff is truth, some stuff is taste. And a lot of times we don't know how to fight the difference between truth and taste. So for me, when I went to the church, I said, the Lord said to me, when you come to this church, when you just get started, I want you to look for three things. Look for stuff that's unbiblical, stuff that repels visitors, stuff that's antagonistic to growth. Okay? As long as it's not doing those things, you can just because you don't like it, doesn't mean it's not truth. Right. That's not politic. That's your preference.
Reverend.
And a lot of times we fall out when going to churches because it doesn't fit our taste buds. Ooh. But you got to respect the foundational members. You're on their shoulders. Right. Without them, you don't have anything. Dude. So you never become an enemy of the past. Wow. You build on the good things of the church. The church preceded you. Right. So they did something effective before you got there. Well, not saying that improvement is not needed, but if a church was there 80 years before you got there, they exist 80 years. So you need to respect that. You need to respect that, and you continue to build and take it forward. Right,
man. This has been dope, man. But you speaking at the Jace conference, man.
Yeah.
What's your subject? What you talking about?
I'm still working through it. Still working through it. Yeah, it's been 9 years since I did the last pastors conference.
Been that long?
To 2014 when I preached what's wrong with the carpenter, which people still talk about that.
You taught that too at your church too. I remember. I was at that one when you talked about what's wrong with the carpenter at your church. Before you were polishing it before you got over there.
Yeah. So I'm still praying it through, and hopefully in the next 30 days I can nail it down and start really getting ready for it. Yeah, May 4th, y'all pray for me because I'm gonna need everybody's prayer.
Well, 20 of us gonna be there, man.
Oh, God,
so we gonna
praised.
be deep, man.
Yeah, God, I'm excited.
I think I got an extra ticket, man. if you want to go too, cause I think two of my people, the husband and wife, they can't go. But yeah, man. So we gonna be down there to make sure we hear you, cause anytime they see your name, oh, let's go.
Wow.
My church, man. I told him, man, I had to make him disappear, man, cause I be getting jealous, cause my mama like him. Like my mama don't like nothing. My mama like E. Dewey Smith.
That's my girl there.
My mama like E. Dewey Smith, Dr. E. Dewey Smith, and Bishop Moy, and me. That's it. But she talking about this Negro too much. She don't never know what's going on about it. Oh, what's going on? Oh, hey, ain't Dewey Smith gonna be there? Ain't he gonna be there? And come to find out, man, then he lived, ain't your next door neighbor, my old next door neighbor. Don't you say next to ST's or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I grew up with ST's, they own the AC, they got so big, they started with one truck. Now they got just hundreds of trucks. And then, they started talking. I was like, man, nigga trying to steal my mama, man. But no, seriously though, she gonna be tuning in. I don't think this gonna air, but we already know he gonna bring a mighty word, man. We love it when you come up here, man. Man, it's so much, man. I gotta ask him this too, man. So what's up, man? What you the album, man, it's man. I told you that time I was working out in the weight room, man, and I started speaking tongues, and the little white dude looked over at me. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I never saw you talk like that before." Like, he didn't know what was going on. I scared the mess out of the little custodian dude. I mean, he my age, but he a real humble guy. I was like, "Nah, man, I'm over here listening to Dr. E. Dewey Smith." I had to talk to him about praying in the spirit and stuff like that. He calmed down. He thought something wrong with me. He thought I was having a seizure or something, I think. But, man, that's a powerful, man, your album, your word is always so powerful, man. Like, what inspired you to write that?
Well, I was a musician first. I started playing guitar at 3, piano at 5. I had my first church job playing drums. I was probably about 9. So I was a musician first. And but when I started preaching at 17, my mentors was like, dude, nobody's gonna respect you as no choir director. So I love music, but I would kind of push to the background. But my mom always wanted me to use your gifts. You can write songs. I write songs for people. And when she passed away, I decided to honor her by doing my first solo project. And man, it was named one of the top albums by Billboard in 2021. I got nominated for 4 Stellar Awards. I won a Stellar Award. I got nominated for a Dove Award. I was nominated for the AMA, American Music Awards, I think at Los Angeles. And I made the first round for the Grammys. And so I had a #1 single. Yeah. And now my second single is number 25 on Billboard. Wow. I Give You Jesus. So my first 2 singles both made the top 30. And so it's just something I never thought I would do. And I'm in the studio now working on my second album. So God just gave me songs. And so now I realize, if God gave you the gifts, use it. That's what you do. You comedy, real estate, education, preaching. You don't have to fit in a box.
Exactly.
Boxes are for things, not people. So God gives you something, man. Use all of your gifts for God's calling.
And we talked about this a little bit the last time when Justin was filming it, man. And I just got to say this. I played a couple of times, but I ain't been playing enough. I had a pastor that told me when a pastor shouldn't be playing the saxophone. I was a young youth pastor, so I put it down for a minute. I'm talking about, dude, I used to be good. Like, now I'd probably go to jail, but like, they be playing at a club. I would just walk on stage and start playing with people. That's how crazy I was.
Wow.
Halen Baylor, I don't know what year that was, 97, 98, when she did a live recording at Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, your building, when Earl Park had it before y'all bought it. I'm out there because we had an orchestra, and I thought it was time to play for the orchestra. I'm sitting in there, and I'm thinking it's time to play. I'm like, oh, man, I'm in the wrong place. But I sat there. So the dude that was playing the saxophone, his pads on his saxophone started falling off. So I said, man, I took my mouthpiece off, let him use my saxophone. But one of them old school songs he started singing, he wasn't feeling it. I said, man, give me the saxophone. So I started playing on the live album. I ain't gonna lie to you on no tape, because y'all go look at it. I'm like, that nigga lying. On the live tape, the dude said, stop. No, it's good. I'm on their live album. I ain't getting no credits.
Wow.
But I'm on Helen Baylor's live album playing one if they didn't cut it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But I definitely played in a live recording, sitting there in the orchestra pit because I thought I was supposed to be there. Now, the next time I tried to do it on purpose, but they had it roped off. They had it roped off the next day, man. But the thing was, I used my gift, and I should not have that was before I started, that's before I came to youth pastor, where I was a youth pastor at in another city, man. I don't want to say what city it is. Y'all know it, y'all just know it. But the amazing thing is, man, when you just saying that, I gotta make sure in the next month I'm gonna be playing all the time at the church like I'm supposed to, man, because you using your gifts. People told me not to do comedy. I met you.
Yeah.
Like, I never would have been at Maximize the Moment. I never would have been comfortable, because when I tell you he let me come to his church meeting, I ain't never seen a happy church meeting. But his church meeting was very productive. I'm like, man, a church meeting, you ain't got to kill people for real. Like, you ain't got to cut nobody's throat. And I said, you know what? One day we going to have great, wholesome, good church meetings, and then we do now. Like, we don't even argue like that. Right. We might have differences and go back and forth, but it's always productive, man. So, but again, my gift made room for me, because that's how I met him. He was preaching for Reverend Mims right after I did a comedy set, man. He was like, man, you crazy. So I met him, and then I started going to his meetings at his church, man, in Atlanta, man.
That's exactly how it happened.
Yeah, man.
That's how it happened.
Yeah. So use your gifts, man. Like you said, box up of things, not people. Don't let anybody put you in a box.
Man, listen.
Man,
David was a shepherd. He was a musician. He was a poet. He was a warrior, and he was a king.
Yeah.
And still a man after God's own heart.
All day.
And so what makes us think? Paul was a tent maker and a preacher.
Yeah.
Luke was a writer and a physician.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the saints, we think
you're supposed to do one job.
Because we let people put you in a box.
That's what they told me. You're a pastor, you're supposed to just sit right here and do what?
Yeah.
You don't grow churches sitting in the office. But anyway, man, look, we gotta get ready to eat. So look, end us with a word, man. I'm hungry. I know you hungry. My dude done got off the plane, came right here, man, just to let me borrow his platform, man. So, man, end us with a word, my dude.
You know, I think this whole conversation, it reminds me, and my final word would be Jesus and Nicodemus in John 3. Jesus says, you must be born again. And Nicodemus says, well, how can I be born when I'm old? Can I enter the second time into my mama's womb? And that lets me know that it's possible to have mama's womb theology.
Reverend!
And what that means is God is trying to birth something new in your life, take you to another trajectory, born again, a new deliverance. But what we want to do is return back to where we just left. And it's hard to go forward to a higher level if you got mama's womb theology. He's trying to bring you out, but you want to go back in. And so if you're watching here today, I just came to tell you, we got to get away from mama's womb theology. And let him take us to a higher level and watch God bless your life. You can't go backwards. Come on out and go out.
Man, I know that's the last word, but I got to say something, man. Look, that's it. Because some of us started we got out, we went through the pandemic, we changed stuff up. Soon as the pandemic kind of was over, we tried to force ourselves right back into what we knew was broken. Oh my God, man, I'm done, man. I ain't trying to follow that, man. I'm just letting you know, I'm done, man. Hey, it's a wrap. Bring the smoke. He brought it. Burn it down. Done.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This book is a book I believe everyone should buy. Not just because I wrote it, but because this book was birthed out of pain. And you learn so much during those painful moments. This is called Leadership Growth, the Power and the Pain. You can't have the power unless you've been through the pain. Bishop Morton wrote the foreword. It's been endorsed as well by our former governor, Terry McAuliffe, and by our Newport News Sheriff Gabriel Morgan. I promise you this book will bless you. Please get it, not just for me, but to bless you. Go to willardmaxwell.org or click on the links below, and I promise you this book will bless you. If you don't just buy it for yourself, buy it for someone else. It's a short read, but it's a powerful read. I've been getting testimonies all across the country, and I promise you it will bless your life.